And we're back with Three Chords and the Truth. I'm Pete Kramer. We don't have any intro music this year because something happened where it got chewed up. But anyway, again, our good friend Alex will be coming back within the next week or two, and he's finishing up that project for work, and it'll be cool to have him back in the co-host seat. Again, we've got our good friend Sebastian De Jesus at Master Control as executive producer, and he's doing a great job over there. And this week we've got Richie Dirwald. And without me doing any more talking, because I always talk too much, why don't we just bring in Richie right now? And Richie, how are you, man?
Well, I'm doing great, Pete. And before we started, we were actually talking, and you wanted me to start with a little background?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say that everything that I'm going to do here is all under the umbrella of one headline, and that is art is essential. Growing up as a little kid, I've always been picked on from stuttering and being overweight. But then when I went into my parents' house, and they are a showbiz family, like a vaudeville type of family, and all the entertainers were there, the musicians, the actors, the ventriloquists, piano players, pro wrestlers. I mean, the second I was involved with some kind of artistic project, I felt better. I felt like I had a new perspective of hope. And because of my family upbringing, I was actually able to sing and act right away, like when I was pretty young. And I love singing because when you sing, you can't stutter.
Mm-hmm.
And when you act, once you believe that you're that character, you can't stutter either. So I don't understand psychologically how that works. But the fact is that entertainment was essential for my happiness. And I was very lucky after I did like the high school plays and things like that. My dad, I don't know if anyone's heard of my dad out there. He's kind of a local celebrity, Mr. Fitness. Well, I used to call him Mr. Full of Pootness because he would say anything to get me a gig. For example, he went to a place called the Club Utica. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the Club Utica. It's a very authentic country bar. And he went up to the owner. He's like, Richie does a great Kenny Rogers and Conway Twitty. I didn't know who they were. No idea who they were. But I was performing their music in 2 weeks. Okay, so, and the band was a house band, so we didn't practice. And luckily, they were really talented. The Tucci brothers, what a great place. Still one of my favorite gigs. And even though I didn't, I'm sorry?
Where's the Club Utica?
The club Utica used to be, now don't forget, I'm talking early 80s here, okay? It used to be on Utica and Rhode Island Street.
On the west side? Okay.
Yeah. And it was amazing. And, you know, during that time period, not only did I learn to love country, but I learned how to use a microphone and how to do everything because the house band taught me everything. And just as I was getting comfortable with country, my dad goes to a rock club. He does a great Bob Seger and Billy Idol. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like in a country band. We can't do that. So I had to find other players, and while still keeping the country band, I had to form another band. And one of the guys really made a huge difference in the rock because I was still doing my same stuff, like I was doing Elvis and Tom Jones and all that, but hard rock. The same thing, just rock. And a guitar player, John Gibbon, who's actually one of Nerds Gone Wild now, but when he was a young strapping buck, he was really just like rocking out, and he provided such a great sound for the band. So now I'm looking at almost a cross between a rock band and a Vegas show gone wrong, and it really worked well. During this
gone
time
wrong,
period,
that's cool.
and it's gone wrong, but it was so right. And during this time period, I was screaming a lot, and I was getting a sore throat. And luckily, there was, believe it or not, like a Las Vegas legend, Gene Ferrari, that used to stop into town, and I had a talk with him about my throat, and he sent me to his vocal teacher, Lois Gilbert, who actually tutored Engelbert
Oh,
Humperdinck.
jeez.
So I lucked out, and he's so kind, and I went there every Wednesday, and I'm learning actually opera. I'm learning how to sing opera, and so my dad thought, I think it's time that you do Tom Jones, you know. So he started booking me into lounges, like he was telling the people. He was telling the people anything to get me hired. And once again, I had to go out and get a third band because now we're playing lounges. We're doing like Tony Bennett stuff, and the rock band's not going to play it. The country band's not going to play it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I kind of got a diversity of experiences because my father would say anything to get me booked. So that's how that started there. And long story short, just to kind of get cut to the chase, once I started playing places like Salvatore's, Russ Salvatore forced me to be a professional. Here's the story. We were trying to get in there for years, because it's a nice, like, Caesar's Palace type showroom, right? Perfect for a Vegas show. So he never hires us until he fires a band off of the stage because he didn't like the band. So he fired
while
them
they
off
were
the
playing.
Stage. I was there the next night. I don't know if they're playing or they're on the break. I wasn't there, but I heard it wasn't pretty. But but he took care of them. I think he paid them for all their upcoming gigs, but it just didn't work in his club. So I came in terrified, like, oh my gosh, am I going to get fired? Like, at the same night that I finally made it here? But no, I didn't. And he pulled us over and he told me, you know, Richie, you can't wear outfits like that. I want to see you guys in tuxedos and blah, blah, blah. So I went out the next day and rented tuxedos for everybody in the band. And through a series of events, I can say that Russ Salvatore is instrumental in my professionalism, because pretty much if I didn't get professional, I'd be fired. So and then we played there for like 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and then after that, I had the opportunity to be produced by Jamie Shear. He used to work with the Legends franchise. And then after we were produced, it was just kind of like playing at different resort areas and dinner theaters and things like that.
Interesting. Now, before we dig too deep into the other stuff, I want to just stop you and ask you a couple of questions. You mentioned the stuttering. Now, right away, that to my mind brought up Mel Tillis, because Mel Tillis, I never knew that the guy. I never followed that type of music, but it was. He would stutter when you saw him on stage, but then when he was singing, there was no stuttering. Is that a common thing? I mean, and if you don't know the answer, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just don't know. I never heard of that before until you said it again for the second time.
Well, I don't think it's possible to stutter when you sing. You know, you're singing in a rhythm. I mean, even changing the tone of your voice. It's, you know, like a lot of times on stage, I'll just have to be very like, hey, is everybody ready to have a great time? And I just act like, you know, like I'm in a 3-ring circus, and then I don't stutter as much. So there's little tricks that we can all use.
And that's probably kind of the same thing that, you know, you don't often hear people's accents when they're singing. You know, it's probably right along the same lines. Okay, I went off on a tangent. That was more of a curiosity thing on my part. Sorry about that, man. But
that's okay.
No, and then you mentioned Nerds Gone Wild, the same way that I was talking with our last week's guest, which is how I find you. You know, if anybody from Nerds Gone Wild would like to come on this show, be cool. Great to have you.
I'll ask John Gibbon. He's a great guy. I'll ask him if he's interested, and obviously he knows the rest of the band.
I would hope so. But now, here's the cool thing that I found from, now, like, this is totally unrehearsed, right? We're not running from a script.
I think everyone can tell. Yes, it's totally unrehearsed.
Richie and I talked about a week or so ago, and the cool thing I found is that he makes a living from his art, and that to me is really cool because there's not a lot of people that can say that they can actually make a living from doing, this type of work. And he does obviously singing. He composes music. He is a producer. He is an actor. And I just found out that he does impressions too, which maybe he can do us an impression or two if he feels like it. But let's go back.
I'll do some. Hold on, let me get a drink of water. Hold on. All right. I'll tell you, I'm all right now, but last week I was in rough shape, I went to see my psychiatrist. He told me I was crazy. I said I want a second opinion. He said, all right, you're ugly too.
You had to do my favorite performer ever. I love Rodney Dangerfield.
Really? Oh. And it's like Tom Jones. It's not always usual to be loved by anyone. Elvis. Well, Lord Almighty, I feel my temperature rising.
That's fantastic.
We could go on, but
Sebastian, that reminds me, we need to get an applause button.
Oh yeah, and a laugh track, and a
rim
there
shot.
You go. Gotta have a rim shot. It's a necessity. I never leave home without one.
Well, the one thing that for anybody that doesn't know Richie, the one thing that you should know is that he's really big into helping people who have mental health problems. And just for an example, I'm just going to bring this up because he told me about it before. He had his whole 2020 calendar planned out, all his shows, all his acts, and I'll let you go from there, sir.
Okay, well, pretty much I was at a band practice, and the next day we're going to play the Bears Den at the Seneca Nation Casino. And it's not a gig that I get like all the time. In fact, the last time I was there was like 2 years ago, and I was really excited about it. And that got canceled. All my plane flights got canceled. This is like in the same 3 days, okay? Then by the end of the week, my entire schedule was gone. It was all canceled. And I got to tell you, I have been suffering from depressions, anxiety, and addictions all of my life. I'm pretty much addicted to everything that gives me pleasure. So that kind of ties in with the depression and anxiety because you're self-medicating.
That's brave of you to say that, man. That is very brave on your part.
Well, just imagine even the old days when I had to turn from, first of all, who's Conway Twitty? Give me a whiskey.
Right.
I'll find out who he is. I'll start listening to his records as long as and throughout my whole life, I've had a lot of experiences where I've had to excel without the opportunity of a learning curve. I've just had to jump into things, and that sometimes causes a lot of anxiety, and that causes a lot of self-medication. So it's kind of a vicious circle. But right now, I can honestly say that since the month of March, I have not been in a deep, dark depression. And that is a lot because of the song I created. It was, we had a lot of time on our hands to actually do it, so we didn't rush through it. And I work with this genius, Sam Ferraro. He's a genius. That's all I'm saying. And then Patsy Silver. I don't know if you've ever met Patsy Silver.
I've not, but I know her name. In fact, it was recommended for her to be on this show as well.
Did you know that her husband, Joey Cristofanelli, was one of the original players in the band Rat, the 80s hard rock band Rat? Not. And he has, I don't know if it's 2 platinum albums. I just saw it in his eye. He is the most humble, sweetest man that you're ever going to want to meet in his life. I never knew any of this when I first met him. Patsy had to tell me. So, anyways, they're incredible people. So yeah, I'd highly recommend them. Wow, and Patsy's just got a lot of character, and then oh, just wait, and then Pat Terry. I just saw him like playing on Facebook, and I have a lot of the instrumentation in my head. I can't play anything, but I can hear it. So I need musical geniuses to bring it out. Well, Pat already had the tone and the style, so that was a no-brainer. And then when I contacted him, he told me that he met me a long time ago, but since I lost most of my brain cells in the 80s, I didn't remember. So it was all new for me. And it was just a beautiful, way to not only occupy my time, because I was waking up saying, "Oh wow, let's try a new string line," or whatever it was. It really kept me afloat, and we had it mastered by Anthony Casuccio, and he's like a 3-time Grammy nominee for mastering. So like he's the guy to go to, Extreme Audio, and we brought it over there. And he calls me in the middle of mastering the song. He's like, "Richie, this song is incredible." And he's like going on about it. He's like, "Say it should be on the Sgt. Pepper's album." And I said, "Would you be willing to say that on video?" So he did. So I got his endorsement, and that gave credibility. And then Mike Bellani Associates put out a press release, and the news just started biting on it. So it's been very successful. But I really have to thank certain artists from all different kinds of arts. There's painters, writers, people from fashion design, of course, music, and so much more. I just started this page, and I kind of used changes to get people interested, because that's the song that's been
we're going to play that pretty
all
soon.
over the news. Okay, so long story short, I made this page, and a wide variety of all different kind of artists joined the page, and for a long time we have been encouraging one another and building each other up. And I gotta say that without a doubt, in my life and the lives of so many others, art is totally essential. If I can go through that, I mean, I'm doing a lot of other things too, faith, family, friends, fitness, all that stuff. But the thing about it is that if you're a creator, if you have a great imagination, you have to get that art out. You have to get it out, because when you don't, I don't know, it just feels like you're being deprived of something, and you are, because art is essential.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, we just started the show about, I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago or something like that. And I cannot even believe the amount of talent that we've been fortunate enough to have on here. I mean, we started off with Dave Bieniek. We had, Mike Trigg-Lehman and Vicky DeVoe from Red Rain. We had Davey O. We had, Pat Terry, who was just mentioned. We had him the last time. Now we've got Richie. Next week we've got Chris Squire. We got some really premier players and great songwriters, great musicians, great artists. I couldn't be happier about this, and I just love the way the whole thing is going. But the next thing we're going to go into, I think, as long as this is okay with Richie, is that Richie's got a cause because of everything that he just said about losing all of his gigs for the entire 2020. Davey O was the same thing. I mean, Davey O, he was, all over the Northeast. He had all these gigs booked. Got wiped away. And it's like, how do these people get to make a living when they're not out performing? And yeah, like Richie was just saying, the mental illness sets in, and the depression, and you start drinking too much and whatnot. But with your kind indulgence, why don't we go to, because we have a clip from Spectrum that they did on you for this. Is that cool with you that we play this right now?
You have my kind
because
indulgence.
I want to do a little bit of a build-up until we do the video for the song that this whole thing is about. So, Sebastian, are you cool
Great.
with this right now? All right, let's go right to that clip.
Making changes. That's what 54-year-old musician Richie Dirwald has been trying to do through the sound of music. He's been using instruments as an outlet for his depression and anxiety his whole life.
My first memory of it was in kindergarten. I was just very anxious and I stutter. So it is a lifelong battle.
Derwald says he understands firsthand the challenges those with mental health issues face, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. He says the lyrics to the song are meant to create reflections, connections, and inner growth for anyone who needs it.
Even before I started on the song, the interactions that I was having with my real friends took a whole different outlook. So the art is a therapy.
As someone who constantly battles anxiety and depression, he had to overcome the biggest obstacle yet when the pandemic canceled every show he booked through 2020.
I just couldn't believe that this was really happening. It would have been my best year for traveling, for acting.
Even with a tough break, Derwald says the positive is that he got to spend more time with his family. He says that this is the first time he's publicly announced his struggles. He says he was always told that it would ruin his career, but now he knows and wants to teach others that it's okay to be yourself.
I hope that the therapy that I've gotten from creativity will be contagious and that other people will start diving into their creative projects, because now we got the time.
It's time for a change.
In Tonawanda, Stephanie Dupre, Spectrum News.
Are back with our good friend Richie Dirwald. Hey, Richie, what was the motivation for this tune? We're going to hear the tune in a little bit, but I mean, the whole fact that you created this, and you know, if I think we have a link to his Facebook page for this, right, Sebastian?
Yes.
Yep, that's up there. I mean, you got a lot of people on that page, and tell me what kind of things that you've heard from people that have been affected by this COVID thing that have not been able to perform.
Well, the kind of cool thing about the song Changes is I wrote it, I rewrote the song like for the third time in my life. Like Changes has kind of been like the soundtrack of my life. I wrote one of the 80s, the 90s, and now. And when I was bringing out just the lyrics, I actually got some incredible feedback. Like this one girl who's a friend of mine, and she says that song made me reflect upon my entire life. And then someone else said that song encouraged me to reconnect with my friends. And this is my favorite. That song caused me to have inner growth. And isn't that all what we need? Now you tell me, is art essential or
absolutely. Well, I'll tell you that there's only one other person that I know of. I'm not saying that I know everybody, but that didn't play an instrument that wrote a lot of great music, and that was Michael Jackson. So
oh yeah,
I put you in that category. If you don't play an instrument and you wrote a song like that, dude, that's amazing.
Well, if you look at our bank accounts, we are not in the same category.
But you're alive.
yeah, so let's just not go there.
That's right.
You know, I mean, there's certain people, you know, let's talk about maybe Elvis or Michael Jackson, you know, in order to get the kind of pills prescribed that they needed. I am absolutely confident in saying, and look at Robin Williams.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, I'm confident in saying that all the fame in the world is not going to make you happy. That's a big subject, but that's actually what I'm trying to help people out with.
Yep, and it certainly comes true. I mean, you could see in the video that we just watched. I mean, you've got a definite passion about that, no doubt about that. But it's just I want to get to the music video, but I'd rather get some more input from you on some other things that you've got coming up. That because if I'm not mistaken, I think Pat Terry plays on this video that we're going to be watching in a couple minutes.
Yes, he plays all the lead guitar. He will. You will notice him. I mean, the song changes is like a mini rock opera, and when Pat comes in, that's where the rock opera really kind of kicks it. I think it's the part on the video with the tunnel. Everybody.
Well, if you know Pat is a big man, and he's a larger than life kind of guy, and so is his music, and Not sucking up, Pat. I'm just saying the truth.
Well, I'll suck up for just a second. When I saw Pat over and over and over again on Facebook, I'm a little guy you'd ever want to be. He's a good Christian man, and I think he's probably going to be my friend for the rest of our lives, and that's another reason why art is essential. It brings people together.
Yeah.
It unites people.
Yep. Well, the same thing. I'll be honest with you. I've never met Pat. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago. It's like we've known each other forever. I mean, he's just such a nice guy.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
All right.
So
at this point, why don't we go? I really want to hear the song. I want people to hear the song.
yeah, well, let's do the song. We've built it up enough.
I know, and I don't want to seem cheesy about it because I love it. I love the words. I love the melody. I love all the video interaction through the whole thing. And yeah, whenever Sebastian tells me we're ready, we're gonna go for it, and let's do it now. Richie Dirwald, and the name of the song is Changes.
Times change, familiar faces become strangers. Rearranged, you feel strange, but then a minute later, changes, so many changes, different people with different faces. You open up your eyes, the scene has changed its tone, and then you realize you are not alone. Changes, so many changes, golden hours in peaceful places. There's people you know and there's people you see, but people who grow are what we must be. People are scared, and I'll testify that you'll never change if you never try. Changes, so many changes, help one another through different stages. Just tell one person how you really feel. Share your emotions, it's the only way to heal. Don't regret, reconnect to the real friends in your life. It's not so strange to rearrange your perspective if you try. Don't regret, reconnect to the real friends in your life. It's not so strange to rearrange your perspective if you try. Changes, so many changes. Life will lead you through different It's time for a change.
With Richie Dirwald, and that was Changes. That's a great tune, man. That is just an incredible tune.
And just one great thing, one wonderful thing that's been happening after another. Linda Pellegrino is now on a show called Senior Radio Buffalo on WBEN
Yeah.
every Saturday at 11.
Yeah.
They are actually playing segments of Changes to enhance the message from the Erie County Commissioner of Mental Health, Mark O'Brien.
No kidding.
And it's been going on for a few months, and I just got the call that they're going to do another segment next month. So the song's actually been on at WBEN for 3 months, segments of it. So it's just amazing. Every time you turn around, and I just have to say that, honestly, I kind of feel called. I kind of feel like me as a person, I couldn't have made all these wonderful things happen. And I really honestly think that God wants me to go out and try to help people. But here's the big thing. And I wasn't thinking about this until I started talking to people. Do you know who really needs to understand something? Are the people who are trying to help their friends and family who suffer from depression, anxiety, and addictions. Because if you don't understand it, you can't help. Like if somebody's suffering from a depression, just real quick, don't say things like, snap out of it, step up to the plate. No, you just made things worse. And these are kind of things that I want to talk about, because upcoming, I will be giving presentations. This stuttering guy is actually going to be giving talks. And the idea is to actually explain to people who are trying to help their friends and family through a depression what depression's really like.
Yeah. Well, you keep on talking about stuttering, man. I don't friggin' hear it at all. I mean, you're very well spoken. But and I'm sure that it's a spiritual calling, and I totally love it. I respect it. But what? I want to go back to the song for a second. I think I know what the motivation was, but how the hell did you come up with such great words? I mean, the lyrics are amazing.
What inspires any artist, and I got to be honest, I rewrote that like so many times. I mean,
Really?
A lot. Oh my gosh, over and over and over again, because I really, but when I started seeing my whole life flash before me, I'm like, oh, I'm on the right track. This is good.
Okay.
And then my friend Gail Golden from Dramatic Solutions, she hires me as an actor. And she, in the beginning of lockdown, she says, you know what's a great idea is to reconnect with your old friends. And I'm like, you know what? That's right. Because now we're at the time in history where we can kind of choose to only hang out with people that we want to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like you're not forced, not that there's anything wrong with that, but reconnecting with your old friends, people that are genuinely, I can't say it, genuine?
Yeah, I get it, genuinely.
Okay, I can't talk. They really care about your life. You really care about their life. And again, encouraging one another and building each other up is the best thing that we can possibly do right now. So when that happened, I was happy with that part. And then how to end it, I went through so much rewriting that over and over again. And basically, it just means that we're all going to go through different phases. We just have to be the best person that we can be. We all have to change. We all have to change through every a section of our life. And I'm just hoping that when things get back to normal again and bands start performing and artists start showing their work, I just hope that the world has a much bigger appreciation for that. People don't, let's just take a band, for example, because that's what this show's all about. people don't realize that a band just doesn't hop up on stage and do 4 sets without practicing in the basement for months,
Right.
without investing tons and tons of money on equipment, and then buying new equipment every time that breaks down, upgrading, the setup, the tear down. Musicians that are working all the time, there's no way it's all about the money. There's no way it's all about the money, because no one understands all the work that we have to put in before we can actually do a show.
Let me ask you this. Have you gotten your certificate yet as a professional musician? Because I know I haven't.
No, I haven't. I got to be honest, like, I feel overall like, I almost hate to call myself a musician because I can't play anything, but I hang out with great musicians.
Yeah.
I hang out with incredible. I think I'm more like, yes, I've been trained as a singer, but because of my upbringing, I think the theatrical and dramatic aspect of what I do is, I would maybe categorize myself as an entertainer, but because I have so much respect for musicians. In fact, right now, one of my plans is to, again, the headline is Art is Essential. I want to bring all different kind of musicians from all different kinds of music, like jazz, country, hard rock. I actually got Joey Cristofanelli to be a part of this on the bass, and
kidding.
He's amazing. Van Taylor from Taylor Made Jazz.
Yeah.
Do you know Marsha McWilson? Do you know Marsha McWilson? Hey, have you ever heard of her?
No.
That would be quite the guest. We'll talk about that later. But anyways, I'm trying to get people from all different styles of music to come together and to remake changes into a 3-minute and 20-second live performance rock opera. And I'm going to encourage the musicians to put themselves in it, because these are people from different kinds of styles that I have not been exposed to doing changes.
So, you're doing different genres and putting them all together?
Yeah.
Oh, how
exactly.
cool is that?
It's not the first time I've done it. I've done it with the Reach Out. It's a video for the Western New York Food Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And we put people from all different kinds of music. And I'd like to thank Van Taylor for that. He travels all around the world. He's actually from a group called Music on the Front Lines, and they play for the troops, like USO shows.
Yeah.
But Van Taylor takes the time to make things happen because he is from Buffalo, and he loves Buffalo. And once again, he is helping me do this, and it's just a beautiful thing. And I gotta say that I've done 2 other projects like this already, but both times it is actually proven that art and music are a language in themselves, because you are bringing a unity of different cultures, people that, are so different in the way they grew up and the way they perceive things. And then all of a sudden, the art comes in and people start collaborating. All that other stuff goes out the door. And I think you know what I'm going to say, because art is essential.
Yes, absolutely. It was like 2 weeks ago. I mean, within my band, our guitar player, Doug Tisdale, very talented guy. He's had this beautiful little melody kicking around forever, but it was only in his head. He'd play it for us once in a while, and we got together 2 weeks ago on Tuesday afternoon, and he says, "What are we doing today?" I said, "We're doing your song." He's like, "We are?" I said, "Yep, just play it." By the time we got done, we took an idea. Now, it's not tangible, right? It's not like, something that you could manufacture and sell, to an automobile or whatever it might be. And by the time we were done, the 4 of us were just like, holy crap, we just took a cool idea and turned it into something that's a beautiful song to listen to. The art is so important. I totally agree with you, man. Totally agree with you.
And when I start giving my talks, I am actually going to encourage many different things to help people who not only suffer from a depression, but people who want to help them, is that anything that you have in your imagination that you want to bring to life, that you fantasize about, what if this could actually, I don't care if it's a sculpture. I have a lot of respect for people in the fashion design industry
Yep.
because the creativity there is running wild. And I mean, any any way that you can use your imagination and take your hands and create something outwardly, that is not only beauty, it enriches our lives, it enriches other people's lives, but it's great therapy.
Yep, it's cathartic. Absolutely. Yep, I totally agree. Take 1 second and ask you, please, if you like this show, go ahead and subscribe to our page. Google, Richie Dirwald. He's got some cool Facebook pages. Find out what it is that he's got that he's trying to promote, because it's absolutely fantastic. What's in the future for Richie Dirwald?
I have quite a few different things that might happen in the future. I try not to talk about things until they're actually underway, but in the future, I do have. I just got a call from Rick Belkowski for the Gateway concerts that are happening. It's like the first time anybody's called me to perform live in a long time, and that was a beautiful thing to hear. I'm going to be doing some speaking engagements. One of them's over at ECC. But right now, I'm just trying to promote my page, my Facebook group. And again, that's Changes 2021. Comfort through creativity. So join, post your work. I want to see your songs. You have to understand that the talent on this page is not only helping me, we're all helping each other. And I got to say that I am beyond impressed with the kind of talent that we have on this place. Please check it out. That's Changes 2021. Comfort through creativity. Easy for me to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're going to be watching for that. Rich, I got to thank you so much for your time. Thank you so very much. And I really hope you come back and see us again, because we'd like to talk more about how this whole thing progresses.
And I got a lot more stories from the past. Each era has its own very colorful stories.
Well, then if you'll come back, we'd love to have you.
I'm in.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so very much, Rich. Richie Dirwald, thanks everybody, and have a good night. Thanks for joining us.